real quick before this ad begins, you need to watch this ad.
On the first day of Christmas, my best friend sent to me
a fortnight filled with rage.
Enough with the Christmas music. It's not even Halloween yet. Ugh, fine. Happy? Not really. But at least it's not completely Christmas. What a party pooper. Pumpkin.
Have yourself a bittersweet Thanksgiving. Let your bells be tight. From now on, your stockings will be out of sight. Have yourself a bittersweet Thanksgiving.
Zenonte, Electric Ninja here, and welcome back to Electric Ninja's Lab. Sorry I had to put that in front of you, but yes, real quick, again, just remember that Thanksgiving in the Lab is coming out really soon. It is right around the corner at this point, and releases possibly before the videos that need to be made. Before the next, before this video comes out, this next video comes out. There's a lot coming out this week that's happening over the next few weeks, so hopefully things don't go completely off the rails and I die. I'm kidding, obviously. But yes, Thanksgiving in the Lab is coming out November 1st, and Christmas with the Nerds is also coming out very soon, on December 1st. Obviously, we're still working on Christmas with the Nerds, but Thanksgiving in the Lab is completely done. It is ready to go. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. This little promotion was longer than the ad. Let's move on. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the latest chapter of Hunters Guild Red Hood, which just raised a lot of questions. In the last chapter, Velo and his team had basically the entire class the entire group had just won the competition. No one was arrested at all, and it was absolutely insane. And needless to say, it was really interesting, to say the least, how they decided to handle this test. They did a really good job, all things considered, and from then we get to meet a few other students, including figuring out that several of the people that were quote-unquote taking the test were actually students who were basically prepared to help them out for future reference. Basically, they were hunters who had passed before, and basically they were going to be testing them and checking to see if they were actually good people. They were going to do interviews later, and so on and so forth. There were a lot of things that were going to happen there. And also, apparently, the guy who gives new handcuffs was also the guy who betrayed Tilty and Milty. So, that's a thing. Okay, moving on. But the thing that is really interesting about this chapter is that we finally get to see some more from the villains of this series. The Red List. Specifically, we get to find out who the mayor is, and his name is really complicated, and I don't want to say it because of the fact that it's like Lacan or something like that. Lacan, something like that. The thing is, it's a weirdly spelled name, and really saying any pronunciation that I'm going to give you guys would probably be considered wrong. So I'm going to wait until we actually get an anime of this, hopefully, before I say his name. I don't actually know if I'll do that. I might actually just decide on a name that I'm going to give him, and then we'll just go with that. But needless to say, it's absolutely really interesting to see basically what his entire plans were. We start to see this strange thing where characters don't seem to remember things. Suddenly, Grimm has just been forgetting things and all these sorts of things. So, what's her name? I always forget what her name is, but the leader of the group decides to call up the headquarters to say, "Hey, something's wrong with Grimm. What's going on?" And they're basically quarantined for right now. And suddenly Lacan, or whatever his name is, shows up. The mayor shows up, grabs Velo, and somehow goes over to the headquarters and reveals his plan. And also, I just have to say, we may have just seen the in-world version of the author, the creator of this series. I don't remember how to say his name, so I'm not gonna, or I think it's I don't know. I don't know how to say their name, so I'm not gonna, Yuki Kawaguchi, yes, there we go. But basically, it's revealed that he has been holding on to some pages that have disappeared from the book of the story of this world. To a certain degree, it reminds me of the Book of the Universe from my books, Sting's Adventures, which is basically a book that constantly is updating itself. This character kind of does that, and I think that they kind of write that kind of book. But it's also revealed that the mayor may have been the original person who had that book, who originally wrote in it, who wrote in there the story of how they destroyed the dragons 500 years ago. Dragons are a myth at this point because of the fact that the Hunters Guild took them down. But for some reason, on top of that, he wants to make sure that Velo of all characters, becomes the main character, rather than Grimm, which raises some important questions. Was Grimm supposed to be the main character in this series? It's quite possible that she has been the main character, but this character, Lacan, is planning on destroying the entire world by controlling everything, by making absolutely certain that his chosen hero becomes the hero. But it also raises some important questions as to why exactly is he doing this? Is he evil? Is he good? It's unclear, because he is clearly working with the Red List, but the Red List is also clearly his enemy. He specifically tells them to kill him if they do not recognize him, if they do not know him, specifically the witch. But it's interesting to see that if there is no large wolf nearby, that's when she should kill him. If the large wolf is there, then they should not. It's a weird point. She now knows his plan, but yet we, the audience, do not. I think that there could be a lot of things to this story, and what exactly Lacan's plan is remains to be seen. It's possible that this could be Yuki Kawaguchi's character, the character that is them, who is Yuki, who is Kawaguchi. It's a weird, complicated thing that I'm uncertain exactly how they're planning on doing this, on continuing the story, how they're planning on moving the story forward. How are they planning to make Velo the main character? And is Grimm actually supposed to have been the main character from the get-go? Were we supposed to have been following her from the beginning? Is it possible that Grimm has been the main character for hundreds of years, possibly being involved with the whole dragon thing all those years ago, and yet she doesn't remember? It remains to be seen, but it also would be very interesting. It's possible that this character, Lycon, has been manipulating the world in order to get his goals, to get the goal of making sure that Velo becomes the main character, but also so that he does something else. It remains to be seen, and I, for one, am really interested to know what exactly is going on, because it kind of totes the line a bit. Not really... It kind of feels like it's breaking the fourth wall without necessarily breaking the fourth wall. It's an odd concept. And it's so weird. This series is one of the most interesting series that I've read so far. It feels like just some normal fantasy horror type thing that is honestly a lot of fun at first, and then suddenly, now, in this latest chapter, suddenly it's off the rails and into a totally different story. A story about a man trying to manipulate the entire world for his own goals. What could this mean for the future? I honestly cannot predict, because this is something that I've never really seen much of before. Yes, there have been times where a character within the story manipulates the story. Yes, Deadpool exists, but nothing quite to this degree. Someone who specifically goes out of their way to make a certain character be the hero, but also doesn't necessarily... It kind of totes the line of both being a good guy, but also a bad guy, and yet you're uncertain on which degree you want him to go down. It's an odd story. At first you think, oh, he's a bad guy when you first meet him. But in this moment, considering the fact that he is trying to get Velo, our character, the character that many of us are relating to, he wants him to be the main character. It causes some confusion and makes me wonder, what exactly is the plan? Because he's clearly saying to the Red List, take me down. Which leads me to believe that since the Red List have been made very clear, these guys are the bad guys, very clearly, it's possible that he is a good guy. It's unclear and very confusing. We'll have to see exactly how they decide to move the story moving forward, but I, for one, am absolutely ecstatic to see exactly how Yuki Kawaguchi creates this story and decides on how exactly they want to make this story come into fruition into a truly amazing story. Like I've been saying, people need to read this series because it is so interesting and so precise that you have to be really careful with what you say and do with each and every part. So hopefully you guys have some theories, because I am kind of lost here. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. So definitely leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. If you do have a theory, make sure to say theory review and we'll talk about it in a future video. And of course, if you guys haven't yet, please subscribe and ring that notification bell. And of course, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Or leave a dislike if you didn't. Let's just be honest here. There's going to be a few of you. Or there might be a few of you. Who knows? And of course, if you guys do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways that you can support us financially, including the merch store, the book, and of course our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patrons, Sheeny and Joseph. And also a big thank you to everyone who's been listening to the music over on Spotify or wherever else you've been listening to it. And hopefully you guys will enjoy Thanksgiving in the Lab as it comes out on November 1st. But anyways, guys, I have been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!